we begin?
No, I don't think so, really.
All right. Well, then we can just look to go ahead and get started here, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about. And then, can you remind me real quick, what was your support SR at?
About 17, 1800, 1800, I think, last
All
check.
right.
1850.
Sounds good. I like that initial orb that just gets us a bit of ult charge. It's good. No, maybe an unnecessary fade, so just, watch out for those. I'll start calling out things as I see them, but we'll go more in depth, right? Same stuff as usual, go more in depth as I see things pop up. They're just kind of faded randomly, and then that just wastes the cooldown, so we want to make sure we're not just randomly using abilities. As with any character, you don't want to just randomly use an ability.
I'm under attack.
So those guys are out of our range here. So we have a couple different options, right? First off, we don't want to just sit there staring at them, not doing anything. So one option would be to push closer. I'd probably say that a really good option here would be to, instead of just standing out in the open over on this side, probably stand closer to our team here. So for example, standing over with our tanks, right? So from over here, we can maybe use their shields and their tanks and the tank, bulk of them, right, to tank a lot of damage for us, so that we're not just standing out in the open. This would give us better cover usage and protection, but then also it would maybe put us in a better range to be able to use our right click. Whereas you see, just we're outside of our range here, so we're not actually doing any
I think
damage.
I was going to roll around the statue and
Yeah.
get position. I think you'll see in a sec.
No, make sure we're not, orbing the wall there. So just a couple of orbs, or like just a couple abilities so far. They're just kind of going and doing nothing.
Regenerating your cellular structure.
Okay, so far, honestly, we have decent usage of, like, we seem to be understanding pretty well when we should be doing what on Moira, like when we should be using healing versus damage on all of our abilities. So that seems to be doing good so far.
Activating the barrier.
This will restore.
All right. Though again, this is now the third ability that we've kind of wasted, so make sure that we're paying attention to our ability usage, as we've kind of been wasting a bunch so far. So here, we're throwing a heal orb, but this guy's full HP, right? So paying attention to health bars when we're throwing it, or we can see him heal up here, like while we're in the middle of staring at. Oh, stop! I forget what number we are. We're number 4. Okay, so that we can see in the middle of staring at him that he just gets healed up, because he goes from being critical, and we can see his health bar as well, and we see that he grabs a health pack, right? And now he's up higher, yet we still throw the orb at him right here, which just ends up pretty much wasting the ability. So healing orbs, we're only throwing them if people actually need healing. Otherwise, a healing orb doesn't do anything.
Easy.
All right.
I've passed this force.
Unstable.
I will rebuild you.
Oh, Mccree's kind of doing stuff. Okay, why don't we talk about real quick just our ranges, since we seem to not be too familiar with our ranges.
I do. I know what her range is. I can kind of see the mistakes now.
Yeah.
Watching it back.
So then,
I suppose at the time I don't think of them as big mistakes. I'm like, they're about a range, and I just used it a tiny little bit. But
yeah,
I think I was trying to get another orb off, but
it's something that adds up a lot over time, because it just means that it's time. Anytime you
stuff, the more you don't have stuff charged.
Exactly. You're gonna waste your resource on your healing, but then even let's just ignore. Let's say we're not. Let's say we're just doing it with a right click, right? Which you're not technically wasting anything with your right click. You're still wasting time, really, right? That's the big deal out of it, is that when you're just sitting there right clicking at nothing, it's a big waster of time, whereas you could be doing a lot of stuff with that time. You could be thinking about, how am I going to be using my abilities, looking around you, paying attention to the environment. Do I have any teammates I need to heal? Do I need to go and should I step closer to do more damage? So, paying attention to what the enemy team's up to. This is time it could be paying attention to ultimates on our team and the enemy team compositions, right? There's just a lot of time we could be spending on awareness, right? It's just a lot of wasted time, especially when it just keeps repeating itself, that you want to make sure that we're just not sitting there doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
So here we just see that, like, we're trying to, like, heal the Mccree when he's like a mile away from us, right? So you just shoot at the left click, which doesn't really do very much. Okay, somehow Mccree's surviving over there. And then even now that's still out of range of him, so like
Yeah.
right? That we're healing, and then
Help me.
there we seem a little bit slow to swap to the damage on the Zenyatta, though we still did,
Your
so that's good.
involvement in my research is at hand. This
Okay.
will heal you.
Probably say make sure we're attempting to stick near teammates with our positioning. So as Moira, your positioning wants to be as close to as many people as possible with your positioning to your teammates, right?
I feel like one of the issues with this game was we were a little spread out, and I didn't really know who to
Yeah,
attach myself
so
to.
anybody really, because you being off on your own, which is basically what we are right now, like when we're off in this little room off to the side, means that everyone's spread out. So like if we just look at this, like rewind it like 5 seconds, right? So that we're in this little room over here, right? Let's look at our current positioning. Right now, every single person is spread out. Ash on our own, we're on our own, Diva's on our own, Korean and Sig are the only ones on their own. Now let's take this, like, our positioning and place it next to the most people grouped up, put ourselves over in this corner. Now we have 3 people grouped up rather than the max being 2 people, right? And then that encourages others to again group up with us. So once we add ourselves to that cluster, that encourages more people to add themselves to the cluster. But from where we are standing currently, we are incapable of being able to heal anybody at all, right? Outside of a heal orb, right? We are outside of range to be able to heal anybody, which is a base function of our kit, right? To be able to heal. Whereas if we're positioning ourselves over here, now we can heal 2 people. So that means that we want, even if it's 1 person, 2 people, people can be spread out, right? Like it's not like you don't have control over those guys, right? You can't be over with the Ashe or the Diva currently, but you can be with this clump of people right here on point and heal these guys up, which would be getting you the most value currently than being off on your own doing nothing, right? So here currently we have a fade available, so what we could possibly, and then also on top of that, we don't really have anybody looking at us right now. There's only a Diva here, and then like all the other people are all the way over there. So right now we could just walk it, maybe throw an orb for ourselves to heal ourselves up. We could maybe like just throw an orb while we walk, and then that can heal up Mccree and us while we're walking over. We can even fade over here to get over here faster, right? Using fade as mobility and to get across this open area, so we're not taking as much damage. But probably the worst idea here would just be to continue our isolation.
This will heal you. Carry out.
Prioritize healing over damage.
I thought
right?
this as I did it.
Yep.
You're about to see me swap.
Yep. But then at that point he's dead,
late,
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just in any case ever, you on Moira, it's healing comes as, and on most supports, right? Yeah. Healing comes as the #1 priority, because then you can heal Sigma up, he survives, and then you get the kill. Whereas if you kill the Mei and Sigma dies, well, now you've just traded 1 for 1. Whereas if you keep Sigma up, now you've gone up 1, down 0, right? So you always prioritize the healing, and then damage comes anytime healing isn't necessary, which is going to be a lot on Moira. People don't need healing all the time. So on Moira, you're going to be damaging quite a bit, probably more than, aside from Zenyatta, probably say Moira is the highest, is going to be damaging the most out of any other support, and maybe Brig, I'd say, is the other one, right? Where you're going to be damaging probably roughly around 50% of the time. But you have to remember that other 50% of the time is going to be healing, and the healing does take the priority. Healing is whenever it's necessary, and when it's not necessary, then we're damaging.
I do try to play it that way. I know that theory.
It's just putting into practice and remembering it as you're playing and giving yourself that reminder, so that we're building up the habit of, actually implementing it into our gameplay. Yeah, okay. At that point, fight's lost, so it's fine. They're honestly probably dying faster would probably be a better idea. So notice here how we've lost the fight, right? I imagine that in the last 3 sessions we've talked about kill feed watching and paying attention. So here, notice lost fight, 5v3. Just let them kill you, right? And then the difference that would make is now, instead of getting this bad spawn where we spawn all the way over here, right? We're spawning instead all the way up here with these guys, right? So that means that we're going to be able to help them escape. Now we're split up anyways, but probably still be better that we get into the habit of trying to get this spawn, so we're not spawning super far away. Because let's say we are the last person alive, well, now we're the only person who gets back there, right?
Yeah.
So just another thing to think about there.
Allow me to repair the damage. Thank you.
All right, so we have a coalescence. See how we use that.
Walk it off. My will made real.
Somebody get me
Injured again.
this.
All right, let's pay attention a couple times here to
My-
health bars, so we can see some awareness
Allow
things.
me
Because
to
I think
repair the
I
damage.
noticed 3 separate moments here where we just don't notice teammates who are low and need healing.
I think I noticed the diva, but she wasn't.
Mm.
She was kind of in cover, so I thought I'd
Yeah.
cast the orb and then heal her. But
Okay, so yeah, so here Anna, first off, Anna takes some damage. She heals herself up. But then actually, sorry. So I'm just noticing like before she uses the nade, probably be a good idea to heal her up here, like when she takes that damage. That way she's not forced to use the nade, and then
yeah,
that
it's
saves
probably
an ability.
it's kind of like tunnel vision, isn't it? I
Yeah.
just think, oh, I'm gonna go cast an orb down there. So
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So just paying attention to the Ana here. Then yeah, you saw the diva, right? So the diva here, you see that she's behind cover. Though I probably just say, you keep this in mind. You already have your ultimate, right? So what is casting an orb in there really gonna do for you? So keep in mind, damage is a really good habit for you right now to throw the damage orbs in when you don't need healing orbs. I like that habit that you have. It's just that once you get your ultimate, a large part of that is actually going to it's going to go from getting you value to actually giving them value, because now they're getting extra support ult charge off of that damage, whereas you're not getting any ult charge, and then the fight hasn't begun yet. Now you can still throw damage orbs when the fight is beginning and you're actually trying to kill people, right? But with this orb, it's like insanely unlikely that we're actually going to get a kill out of it, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Never thought about it that way.
Yep. So then here, Diva needs help, and then on top of that, I think Ashe gets like 1 HP too. Again, trying to put ourselves over to where we can heal as many people as possible. So positioning wise, here currently we're out of range to. I think maybe Zarya might be in like, yeah, Zarya I think would be like in the very edge of it, and I don't know if we can actually heal the Ashe from this range, but like probably just being on this other side with all these guys and just put us closer to everyone, right? Just making sure we're positioning close to them so we can actually heal them. And then on top of that, like Moira's just a very close range like healer, right? With her healing. So if we're standing far away, we can only do single heals, right? We can either do for example, like if we're right here, we can only do the Zarya or the Ashe. Whereas if we're right next to them, we can actually line up so we can do both of them right at the same time, right? So just trying to put ourselves a lot closer to teammates has already been a big positional thing. Okay, so then we heal up Ashe. That's good. Bomb comes out. I don't like that we kind of don't check to see teammates, because notice here how bomb doesn't always kill people, but sometimes it just does damage. So notice how that does it to the Zarya here. She's actually going to be pretty much 1 HP, and then we end up just kind of ignoring everyone here and going on the flank. So right here the bomb explodes, it kills one, and then notice your Ashe and your Zarya are now very low health and without another additional support here. So we could be healing those guys up, but because we're tunnel visioning now on going on this flank route, which probably, Moira's not a flanky character. I mean, like, you can play her like that, but it's not going to be the way you're going to want to play all the time, especially when these guys are in danger of dying. So just stay behind, make sure we're paying attention to them, healing them up. So there's just a couple instances where we just didn't really notice people being low and just kind of tunnel visioning in again on the going in and getting aggressive.
The power of destruction.
Right, because then those guys, and then we notice, right, but now it's too late, because now both of them are like dead. One of them's dead, one of them's like that, right? So I think so far we're lacking out on the healing aspect a lot, just because we're not putting ourselves with our teammates, and then that's a big issue. So I like, when it comes to Moira, right, I like the damage. I think we understand that, because a lot of Moiras get into the mindset of I'm a healer, and then they heal like 85% of the time and then damage like 15% of the time, and I have to tell them, no, you're supposed to be damaging this, because healing's not needed right now. You should be damaging during this time. But you so far have almost been a little bit too much on the other side, where we are healing, but it's inefficient healing, because we're not near our teammates. We're throwing some healing orbs when they're not needed, or we're throwing them when we're kind of forcing ourselves to need them by putting ourselves away from teammates, right? And then that's causing people to die, right? So it's just placing yourself near teammates and going for that angle a little bit less. All right. So
yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I think I conceptually try to do that, like sort of damage when I'm not healing. I think it's just like you say, positioning thing.
Yeah,
and
so
awareness. But
positional wise, I'd probably just say when you're going for that damage when healing's not needed, still stick with your team anyways, because healing
Yeah.
could be needed at any second. Healing
Yeah.
could be needed any time. Now you can take like, feel free to, like, it's not a super hard rule. Everything's gonna be situational. Feel free to go off and do your own thing like once in a while in certain
Yeah.
situations, and you can go on like an off angle if it only takes a couple seconds. But if you're going on this like long flank wraparound
Yeah.
that's going really far away from your team, that's me. And then while in the middle they're being low and without another support, probably not the play to be making, right? All right, so
Surrender to my will.
we're coming in using Coalescence. It's good. Oh, Reinhardt's like 1 HP there. Oh, okay. So here now we get into an issue is that we're swapping targets much too frequently, right? So we come in here, we use Coalescence.
Surrender to my
Okay, we
will.
start off on the Reinhardt, right? Whereas, which is okay. Reinhardt's half, but we also notice a big clump of people right in here where there's a Mercy, Zen, and Diva all lined up, where as Reinhardt, yeah, is half, but he's also a tank with a shield, and, maybe these guys might melt slightly faster, especially, when they're grouped up together, so look for that group of people, because we want to be damaging as many people as possible, right? So Reinhardt's fine here, but then he gets around the corner, and then we swap over, but then now we're confused. Who do we go on? We see the Diva, and then we see the Zenyatta. We swap from the Zen to the Diva, so we just swap between 3 different characters. We swap back to the Zenyatta, and then we swap, now the Zenyatta trances, so we're done, right? So it's just a lot of swapping there. Just try to stick on somebody.
Okay.
Okay. Don't throw the damage orb in while they're in the middle of a trance. Just hold on to it for a couple seconds until the trance is done, because it's not, yeah, it's gonna get you ult charge, but you're mainly looking for that ult charge orbs in between fights, not in the middle of fights. In the middle of fights, you want your orbs to actually be benefiting you for the fight, right? You want your orbs to be getting you value, whereas the only value that orb would have gotten you is just ult charge, and that's it, right?
Okay.
Okay, there again, I think we kind of backed up for an unknown reason. Like here, we use our Coalescence, and then we get shot at a little bit, and then we just back up really far. Like I think backing up a little bit is fine because we're getting shot at. So maybe just like walking around the corner, or even if we're fading, keep in mind that you don't always need to do a max range fade. Like if we're backing up, for example, let's say we're just going backwards, we don't always have to back like all the way back here. Instead, we can just like tap it, just like go back a little bit, right? That way we're still in range of the fight. But here we just kind of back up really far, and then that just puts us out of the fight for a little while.
I think I do always do a max range fade.
So just keeping in mind that you don't have to do that. You can just instead of holding down the button, just tap it or hold it down for a little bit and then let go, right? And then that's how you do shorter fades. And you can also do fades around corners by like holding backwards and then to the side, or forwards and then to the side, right? So you can be a little bit more than just all the way forwards, all the way backwards, wasting some
range.
Heals out of range, yeah. Oh. Alright, that's unfortunate. Got shattered there.
When faced.
It's funny because like once you point something out, and it's like it's from the very first time I spoke to you, it's like you point out something that seems like kind of insignificant, but I totally get what you mean in that it adds up.
Yeah.
So at the time you sort of think, oh yeah, the likes of me think, yeah, it's no big deal. It's just a tiny bit, but yeah, that all adds up to a bigger
so
problem.
like that's what I said at the very beginning is like I'm gonna start to point out like just things as I see them, and then if they start repeating, like, because I was in the very beginning of the session going like, okay, he's definitely going to waste all of his orbs, he's definitely going to misuse like when he's doing what, right? I don't know that, but I'm saying like, okay, if they do restart repeating, then you know that it's the issue, because then it's constantly an issue. So here, we actually hear the Pharah shooting at people, though we don't really seem to look in her direction. So listen here a little bit. We hear the Pharah shooting at people. Can you hear very well through the stream? Yeah, you can. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a little.
So you hear up there, you go shoot, 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 shoot. Right, and we just kind of not even like acknowledging her. So I know maybe we could toss an orb up there if we wanted to, because then that would just pressure her out, make her squirm a little bit.
The power of destruction.
That could stop us from getting like shot in the back here. Right, and then we finally look behind us, right? But then that's after a little while, and then she gets a kill, right? So just recognize that's awareness, right? Again, it's just knowing she's there can help keep the Mccree alive, help kill the Pharah.
This will restore you.
Yeah, there we were holding very, very far back when we weren't really in much danger, right? So like here, Pharah's dead, and we're just like kind of sitting really, really far back. So just like notice the really far away positioning that we're using here. Like so the fight's happening
You
on
see what I
target.
mean about my team being a little spread out in this? It's like
Yeah, so I mean,
those 4 players, none of them are. I was trying to stick with the ones that were.
yeah, so I mean,
Not
I probably
get them
say that
killed.
there are some instances where like that you might want to leave the group of players, like for here, for example. Who are these guys really going to be taking very much damage at all? Are they going to need team support? Are they
True.
going to need healing? Whereas, you know,
Mm.
you look at Diva, who's in the middle fighting people, or Ball, who's in the middle fighting people, up near cart, and like this is the direction in which these guys are moving. Anyways, these guys are moving to the point. You guys are walking back from spawn to the point. So us walking forwards here, if we're trying to walk back, we should probably be pushing up to help these guys out. Now, at the same time, I also didn't notice here that they actually capped to the point, so that's I missed that part. So that here in this instance, we might want to regroup anyways. But I think we have 5 people alive. Like we have 5 people alive currently. We can probably still just group up with them, help them out, and then go from there, right? So here I'd probably still say like maybe just pushing up faster, because we're just kind of chilling at the moment, right? And we could be helping Ball get out.
This will restore you.
Because if we're there just like 3 seconds faster, we just keep Ball
I will
alive.
draw the strength
Okay, now we
from
probably should be backing up here.
my will made real. Victim Paula.
Okay, at this point we're just staggering, right? Just grouping up here, make sure we're paying attention to kill feed.
A touch from afar.
Alright.
Nerf this.
Yeah, wasted that fade and got myself killed.
Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah, wasting a fade maybe, right, is what you said. And then on top of that, here we have a couple options. First off, Pillar gets you around the corner. Also, here we jump, which puts us more into the line of sight of it, right? So we jump at the very last second, I think. Right there we jump. Whereas, let's say we crouched,
Right.
we go lower to the ground. Now I actually
Jeez,
think that yeah, I think that might actually put us out of its line of sight, unless that tiny little top gets us or not. But just keeping in mind, probably don't want to jump up if that's gonna put us more in the line of sight of it, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just crouching. All right.
I think that's gonna be it. So it was
Yeah.
very
Right.
fast,
And
and then my
then
team put out. So
and then they left after that. All
you see,
right.
we
So
have 5.
yeah.
Pretty
All right.
soon we have 3.
So you want to go over the next one then?
Yep.
Let's get that up. So yeah, just exit out.
This is a better game. I feel generally I felt I played better, but then maybe my team was just more.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, which teams will be good and the teams will be bad. It's just about getting us to the point where we can hopefully carry it well enough to carry most of the bad teams. All right. So here, you can get pretty much the exact same angle from up here on the door, right?
All right.
Probably don't want to be sitting all the way down there when that's like
Yeah,
nowhere
it
near
was
a
a
team.
bit of it was a bit of a long run to get
Yeah.
back up to where the team was, but yeah.
So maybe not worth it for the Orb if we're like that far out of position. Wait, what number are we? It's not. It changes every time.
F1.
We're F1. Okay, that's easy to remember. Hopefully.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
But that 3%, man.
Yeah.
This will restore you.
All right. Now, one other thing I would say, now we're not actually getting punished for it at all because we are currently at 1700. You said 1800? Is that what you said?
1850, yeah.
1850. Okay, so because we're at this rank, the divas are terrible, but I would keep in mind that they are on a diva and a Sigma, and last game they were also on a diva, and it is insanely easy for them to eat your gobble up all the orbs that you send out. And in fact, at higher ranks, they will intentionally eat those up. So just saying for future reference, when you do start to climb, you probably want, and team comp dictates playstyle. So you're gonna be playing differently up against different team compositions, and when they have divas and sigmas, more divas, because divas can eat them easier. I would probably recommend throwing damage orbs a little bit less, especially when there's a
Okay.
diva just sitting there, because she's just gonna see it, eat it up, and then it does nothing, right?
Yep.
So just
Yep.
for future reference, just keep that in mind. For now, she doesn't seem to be eating it, and you're gonna get value out of it just because she's not paying attention to it. But just keep in mind, once those divas start eating them, stop throwing them.
Okay.
At least when she's there and paying attention. Now you can do it when she's dead, when she's not nowhere close to it, when she's not looking, when someone's low anyways, when she's out of mech, right? There's a lot of different instances where you can still throw it.
Yeah.
Just not when it's directly at her face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unnecessary fade. Noticing a lot of those is just like, again,
Yeah.
kind of unnecessary fade.
Like,
We
I'm
just
obsessed with it as soon
yeah.
as it's charged.
So fade usage, like orb usage, you're basically just using off a cooldown. But in this game, you have abilities that are used off a cooldown, and then you have abilities that are used reactionary.
Yeah.
And then there's some other ones that are specialized and you use whenever. But orb usage is off a cooldown. Use it every time you get it. Fade usage is not. Fade usage you are using for two purposes, or I guess I could say three purposes. You're using it for mobility, to get somewhere faster. You are using it to dodge in something, dodging stuns, dodging damage, or you're using it to escape when you are low. And again, when you're the escape is kind of an extension of the dodge, right? You're escaping when you are already low. Now, most of the times we're using it, it's when we're not using it for anything in particular. Like if we watch the last two we used here, like we throw an orb, or we heal we heal them up a little bit, and then we just we peek the edge. We're peeking the edge a little bit, and then we just kind of fade backwards when we're up here. All you have to do is just to walk backwards just a little bit, right? Just
Fair
walk
enough.
backwards, and then we're good, right? And if we are out if we're going sorry, rephrasing this. If we were to die standing there, that means that it's not because we didn't fade fast enough, it's because we weren't using cover well enough. It means that we were standing too close to the edge, whereas if you're standing a little bit further back, you might be able to get around that corner faster, or you may be able to get around the edge faster. Add in a crouch as well to go down, right? But we do that twice in a row when just really not doing anything for us, right? And then just waste the ability. So now if like Doomfist jumps at us or Diva jumps at us, don't really have anything to get away from them.
Get into position.
All right, so here, positioning ourselves in between as many teammates as possible, rather than positioning over in this corner where where did he go? But there's like just a Torbjorn there a second ago. Wasn't there? Oh, he dropped the point. Okay, so rather than just positioning yourselves here where there's a Torbjorn, we can position yourselves over here where now we can, in half a second heal the Orisa, half a second heal the Torbjorn, and then if we need to, we can run over and heal the Diva a lot faster, right? So just position ourselves in between all of them rather than on the very edge of all of them, right? Which means that you can heal more people faster. We also kind of misplace this orb here when we're throwing it. Is like come on, I'm too far back again. So here when we throw the orb, we kind of throw it like in the direction where she probably won't be pushing. Like here we see the Diva, right? We see that she's we see that most of the time people are going to be walking backwards. So here we just want to throw it in that room to her left, because that's where she's going to be going, and that'll get her healing faster as well.
Get into position.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about strengths and weaknesses real quick. Just what needs to be worked on. So ability usage. Real whack. We haven't. A lot of the fades are just being used off a cooldown and wasted. And then orb usage. I think I like the damage orbs that we're using, and I think we understand when we should be using each. That's the good part about our orb usage, is we understand when we should be using them. Just sometimes we end up using them in the wrong situations anyways. And then there's also times where we just whiff the orb like that one, or we will just we'll throw it a damage orb when it's when we already have our ultimate. Like there's just lots of odds and ends with the orbs, where it's just like like half the orbs that we're throwing, like in some bit like fashion, is misused, right? So overall, not insanely high up on the chart. Probably say like a medium-ish for now, medium priority for you to work on. Ultimate
Okay.
usage, we've seen one of them, and it wasn't too. The timing was pretty solid. We held on to it for one fight, but that fight was lost for a different reason than us not using our ultimate. And then we had a decent usage out of it, so I'd probably for the moment just like to see a lot more of them, but we'll place it at like a low to medium for now. It's usually where I just kind of place someone I'm not too sure. Low to medium priority. Then mechanics, obviously Moira isn't like too mechanically in need. She's not doesn't need hard mechanics, but she does kind of have like her understanding of when to use which type of shooting, left click or right click, right? Which I think again, it's the same thing with orbs, is we understand we are healing whenever it's needed, we are damaging whenever healing is not needed, right? And that's kind of a 50-50 split-ish. It's just those sometimes where we'll forget about that in the action, and then there's the times where we're healing and damaging when we're too far away from people, right? Which means that it just ends up wasting resources or wasting time. It's just that damaging nothing. And then overall, that one's probably I'm trying to think. That one's probably, I'd probably say that's either equal to or lower than the ability usage. So I'd probably put it like a medium priority, right? Positioning, probably a lot more in positioning. Positioning, the big massive one that probably applies to a lot of situations here,
Yeah.
is just being with our team, right? Because a lot of times we're just not with our team, and then almost any time someone dies, it's just because we're not with them, right? We're not near them. We're not positioning ourselves near them, like this Orisa, right? Where we're just not positioning ourselves near her, and then therefore she dies, right? So tons of examples like that happening. So we just want to position as close as possible to as many people on our team, or in the middle of them instead of on the side of them. Make sure we're using cover still. Good positioning is the usage of cover, and then that's really the big one in positioning. There hasn't honestly been a ton of other positional just don't go on flanks, right?
Yeah.
Stick with your, don't do that, right? Stay as close to people as possible. And that's really the big one there. And then that alone puts it up to like a medium high priority, just because it's like really affecting your ability to win fights, because like we're fundamentally neglecting a core part of our kit. We're fundamentally neglecting healing if we're not close enough to heal, right? If we're not within range to heal. So therefore, final one here is awareness, and again, awareness comes up a little bit higher than the others. Paying attention to health bars and teammates who need healing, where a lot of times we just like will react slowly or not at all to people who do need healing, right? And people who are in danger. So the risk is just a slightly slow reaction. Throwing the orb in the wrong direction of where she's moving is kind of like kind of a mix between awareness and decision making, right? Awareness being like maybe we didn't know which direction she was moving in, or if we did know, we didn't make that decision anyways. So awareness is a lot of odds and end pieces, paying attention to kill feed, making sure we're not staggering ourselves. We've had a couple times, when you've lost fights, let them, if you can't get out, let them kill you, where we've staggered ourselves longer a couple of times when it wasn't necessary. And then we have things such as, what are some other ones? Like, um, just paying attention to where's my team, where's the enemy team, because a lot of times you just end up not paying attention to that. Like the Pharah who's sitting above us, keeping our ears open and listening, and then like our multiple teammates who've just been next to us in need of healing that we just don't pay attention to. So just all of that awareness stuff probably adds up to like a medium high here, medium high priority. We'll adjust as we go along here, and we just continue with the VOD here. Alright, this point, probably want to just be getting out, right? Just let her die, right? To be honest, this is a lost fight. We have the very good opportunity to just get out here, right? Because we can just walk backwards here, and they're probably not going to be catching up to us, right? Unless D.Va turned and started looking at us like right now. But even then, we could probably survive just a D.Va on us. So here, we probably want to be backing up. Instead, we seem to be hanging around a little while, and we kind of fade into this, and we're trying to survive, and then we stay in the area, and then now we're gonna stagger. It looks like, right? So we stick around too long. So we're in the we're instead of going one or the other. So when the fight was lost, instead of getting out or letting them kill us if we can't, we did in the middle where we tried to survive when it was impossible to survive, and then that staggers us even longer. That wastes time. That can end up having our team stagger because now Mccree's walking back in. Now they might kill Mccree, and then now Mccree's staggering himself, and then you start a stagger train where your team just keeps staggering. Right? Like let's see, does Mccree die? Right now, these guys, look at all these guys. They're walking in without you guys because we staggered, and then that's possibly if we got out early or we die there, we possibly get 2 fights here, right? We could probably retouch as most of our team, but now because good.
So when you play, would you never have the thought that, well, I might survive this and my team might catch up?
Well, I would just get out, and then I know I would survive it, right? I
Right.
would just leave immediately, right?
Right.
Whereas the staying in is the opposite. Staying in there longer is a impediment to survival, right? It's going
Yeah.
to lead to your death, which is what actually happens there, right? Instead of
Right.
fading, we had a fade, and instead of fading out this way, we faded like into the wall over here, right? So here, notice how like now instead of getting a full team retouch, our team's just staggering back in, not getting a full team regroup. They're going in with like 3 people, and then now
Yeah.
Arissa's
This
dead.
happens all
Mccree's
the
on.
time in the ranks that I
Yep.
play.
And
Constant staggering of like no one's ever grouped up for the entire.
exactly. And keep in mind that we're feeding into that as well, right? Self-improvement starts with us stopping ourselves, and then what that does when we stop our own staggering, that's,
Yeah.
in every single game you're in, that's now 1 out of the 6 players that is not doing that, first off.
Yeah.
Secondly, that can stop stagger trains, because now you're going to have more people grouped up, so maybe instead of having 3 people pushing in, you have 4 people pushing in, or and that can stop that could maybe lead to if you're getting out faster, that can lead to these guys not being as confident in just sticking around, and they might die, choose to die sooner or whatnot. If we weren't healing them up, they would also die sooner because we were keeping them alive longer. Like Mercer's 1 HP, and we healed her up so that she could survive longer, only to stagger, right? So we ourselves are adding on to that staggering. The other thing we can do is we can call it out as well. I mean, people honestly, callouts aren't too important at this rank. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But once you start getting up to like if you wanted to, you could do it. But then once you get up to like a gold level ish, that's where you can start making the call out. Say something like, "No results, lost fight." Get out, right? Get out or die, right? Is that type of deal, and you can say that to them, and then that can help as well with stopping them from staggering. Or you could specifically call people, say like, "Hey, you guys are down 3 people. Do not push in," right? Like that's the type of callouts you can make. Now, again, I acknowledge people at your current rank are probably not going to be communicating back with you or talk or even listening to you. So those callouts might be better saved for a higher rank, and it's just another one of those like put it in your tool belt for like a later use, right?
Yeah, I watch kind of like streamers and stuff play Overwatch, and I've heard the sort of calls they
Yep.
give. So I kind of have a sense of, just, calling out a tank that's particularly low health or
Yep.
isolated, or I kind of would like to be able to get there.
Yep. So yeah, here just staggering, and we had a big impact on this staggering, right?
Yeah. Oh, you always help me see how much I suck at this game.
Unnecessary fade, right? No one's shooting at us. We're not low. We're not in danger. No, we're not using it for mobility, right? It's just kind of a lot of nothing there, and then we just kind of waste the ability,
Self-destruct sequence.
right? Because that's a wasted ability. So now if we are low in danger or we need it for mobility, we don't have it, and then on top of that, that's just time that we wasted when we could be doing something else again, right?
Mecha activated.
Got it. Stop using my fade so obsessively.
Yeah, and then I'm also kind of going real aggressive here. That I would at a higher rank, this would 1000% get us killed. But I mean, I imagine if we'll get away with it here. But just maybe not fading into their team if it's just you, right?
Yeah, I kind of did that and then immediately thought, what am I doing? I'm ahead of our front line. I'm playing on DPS or whatever.
Right. So at the very least, we backed out off of it.
Tank, I should say.
Surrender to my will.
Right.
With a few more unnecessary fades.
Coalescence is done a little bit too early. So first off, yeah. So the big thing here is just like the fight really hasn't begun, right? Or in any case, if the fight is happening, we have the advantage here. Um, we can't see anybody, right? Who are we coalescing here, right? Like it's just like the big thing when we're using our coal here is just like who are we ulting, right? There, our Diva's full HP, no one on our team needs healing, and we can't see anybody on the enemy team. So to get value out of our ultimate, we need to be actually shooting people with it, right? It'd be like if we just tossed out an orb here, like if we just like, for example, tossed an orb straight where we're looking, would that orb really do anything, or would it just be wasted? Probably just be wasted, because now let's take a look at this ultimate and see like how long does it take us to actually acquire somebody, and then in that time, like or I would imagine we're probably not even gonna get any kills out of this, right?
Mm.
This ultimate would be much better used for like in the middle of a fight, right? Or not in the middle of a fight, but like at the beginning or the middle. This is way too early into the fight, where like neither team is like anywhere close to each other. We're so far away that they can just back away. They can just run backwards and get away from this super easily. No, excuse me, hiccups. And they can just really easily run away from this and just get around the corner. And then they're good, right? I just imagine this ultimate's not going to do anything, right? 1, 2. Okay, we shoot at some people. Shoot at some people. Okay, so like we wasted half of it before we actually started shooting at somebody, and then got no kills out of it, right? And then really that ult didn't get any value. So wait till the fight has progressed, not just before the fight has begun, right? We want to use it as the fight has started or after that point, right? So, and you can tell that by like when, especially the big thing is when teams are close to each other. Whereas here we're just a mile away from each other, which means that we're not going to get any value out of it. Also, just make sure we're using it when we can actually see people or actually use it for a specific purpose. So, there didn't really do anything. So well, for now, we'll keep that. I mean, like, I want to see more still, but maybe that goes up to a medium. But for now, I think we'll just keep it at a low to medium still, right?
This will improve your condition.
Heroes never die.
Okay, so for example, sometimes we just go to that extreme with our positioning. Like this is similar to the fade thing where we just like kind of full
This will
fade back.
improve your
So here when we
condition.
fade over to help the Baby Diva, which is fine, right? We
I didn't
go.
actually realize it was a baby diva until I got there.
Yeah. We are within range of
Just so
healing.
critical.
Right, we are within range of healing, yet we keep walking in her direction. Whereas if we just, for example, we heal her up tiny little bit, she doesn't need much healing, right? It's a baby diva, right? We heal her up just for 1 second, let the heal over time effect heal her up the rest of her health, and then just run back to our team. That'd be the best thing we could do here. Instead, we walk into her and walk much further in, and then we heal her probably a little bit too long, and then now we're like really far away from our team, and then notice that's the time it takes for Orisa to die. So we just walk too far in. The other thing I'd say is just make sure we're prioritizing the front line, because even though Baby is critical, Orisa is in more danger.
She's got Yep.
Because Baby is like out super far outside of the fight. Orisa's in the middle of it, right? And she's also alone here. So just being with the Orisa would probably be a higher value there.
Touch from afar.
I'm taking.
Well, awareness, healing the Mercy, you just got like rocked an inch from you, and it's critical HP, right? So here we just kind of see her Mercy fly in, like pay attention to the Mercy here, right? Mercy's a little bit damaged. She gets rocked, critical HP, like right next to us. Yeah, we're going for the damage when we're outside of range of it, right? So just awareness, right? Just that, it's the odds and ends things where we just don't notice something, right? We just want to pay attention and keep our eyes open and listen around for it. Oh. Good job getting around that wall.
This.
Alright.
Couldn't think where a health pack was, so I just wait for my ult to recharge.
Tell me how this feels. Well, I cast this forth.
Alright, so let's like look back at this. So here we're down most of our teammates. Like, so it's currently 4 people. This is still a lost fight, pretty much, because we don't have any additional advantages. So when you're down 2 people and you don't have anything else going for you, they pretty much won that fight. So here, this is a lost fight. Probably should be looking to back up.
Tell me how
We
this
accidentally
feels.
run into the wall here with our fade. And then because we use that fade, we actually don't have it for when they ult. But, I mean, to be fair, we didn't know that they were about to flux us. Other thing here is maybe instead of going for the damage orb here on the Mccree, we could go for a heal orb, and then
Allow me.
this heal orb can maybe you can like bounce it off of this wall, so it just goes back and forth here. That can keep you and the Mccree up here in this duel possibly, and then that's pretty much it.
How
Just
does
going for the
this
damage
feel?
orb probably isn't the best idea there.
It amazes me like that.
We got a kill out of it.
Well, yeah, it amazes me that like you. I don't know. It's, Overwatch is. I don't. It's thinking that fast. I'm not sure I've got the brain capacity for it sometimes.
It's definitely it's something you got used to, right? It's like it comes with
probably the more you play.
it comes instinct, it becomes habits. Like, I get the exact same thing with like I'd say I'm a very fast learner when it comes to things because I enjoy learning. I understand the learning process. That's what makes me a good coach, is because I understand the learning process and how to get good at things fast, so I can help other people get good at things fast. Um, when it comes, for example, I've been playing Apex Legends a lot lately, right? I don't have 4,000 hours in that game, and I'm not as good at that game as I am at Overwatch, right? I'm top 500 Overwatch, not top 500 in Apex Legends, but you notice as you progress and as you keep playing and as you practice and as you think about the things you need to work on and as you're getting better, things start at the very beginning. You're like, snap, man, there's so much stinking stuff to keep track of. There's so much
Mhm,
stuff. I can't think this fast, right? Because there's so much stuff to think about. But
mhm.
once you start building those habits and practicing more, it becomes a second nature, because now you don't need to think about that stuff. It just comes naturally, right? It's not things because it's no longer overwhelming because there's so much to think about, because you don't need to think about it, if that makes sense, right? It's not something like the orbing in
Yeah,
that situation, for example, in my current level, that wouldn't be something I need to think about, because I just go, oh, I'm low, Mccree, McCree's there shooting at me,
I'm not going to
I'm
win
gonna
this
orb,
fight.
right?
I'll help. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
it's
remember
just
when I first started playing Overwatch, I didn't have a clue what was going on, and now obviously I pretty much understand everything that happens.
Mhm.
Which that in itself is like how many variants of things that can
Yeah.
happen.
Like even if you're not able to do it in game, you're at least keeping up with you're keeping up with the coaching, and you're understanding, okay, this is what I could have done there. So you have that understanding. It's just applying it to the game and making sure we're thinking about it in game, getting the practice in, building the habits, making sure focusing while we're playing on the things we're trying to improve on, so that we can start to not have to think about things once we get better at them, right?
The
Right.
payload
Here,
awaits
pushing back in when this fight's lost, right? One single person versus like their entire team, and there's no way we're touching. Probably should be backing up here, right? Just like, you see that this just board here. No teammates. Everyone's on point. They already capped. No reason to go back in. Probably should just be backing up currently.
A touch from afar.
Also, a lot of times just notice, like, sometimes our orbs just kind of, we throw them at nobody. Like, notice here, like, we can see where people are at, right? Like, if we're paying attention, we see there's a Tor. Okay, so I think we're trying to throw a Tor, but on the right side we have like Ana, we have Brig who's peeking out, and then Sigma's about to walk there too. Yeah, we throw it like at the singular Torb, so you try to throw it towards the biggest clump of people so we can get the most damage out of it.
A touch from
And then that just
afar.
Right.
goes,
Nowhere.
yeah. Yeah, and then we're still sticking in here, probably should be backing, not engaging. And then because we're going in that, again, just showing how we're impacting more than just ourselves, we're giving this Mercy a false sense of confidence. Maybe Mercy wouldn't have gone in here had she not have a teammate here. Because why would Mercy walk in if she saw that she was the
Yeah,
only one walking in, right?
yeah.
We possibly are, not just staggering ourselves, but also staggering this Mercy as
This will
well,
restore
and
you.
keeping ourselves in this fight far too long.
I recommend moving behind my back.
All right.
I need a doctor.
Good. Now this is, right now for the moment we're in good positioning.
Next change.
Oh,
This will heal you.
we got the Mercy just at the very last second, just paying attention to her.
Surrender to
Okay,
my
so
will.
this coalescence. Probably say, again, slightly too early, right? Like, the fight hasn't necessarily begun yet, and that means that they can probably very easily just kite around this corner. We're stuck shooting at tanks here, which we think we've talked about target priority and other
Yeah.
roles that, just isn't going to be the thing we want to be focusing too much here, so maybe slightly too early. I don't think it's the worst coalescence we've had, right? It's definitely better than the last one we had, because we can actually see people, but still, again, not a ton of value out of it that we're getting. So honestly, just to spread things out a little bit more, I'd probably say that the mechanics goes down a notch, just because the mechanics stuff that we've seen so far hasn't been insanely big of a deal, and I'd probably say it goes down to like a low to medium, but then ultimate usage bumps up to a medium priorities. So that's just kind of swapping those places. And then notice, just walking through the coal a little bit here, right? When we use it just too early, shooting at tanks, not getting a ton of value in. Now we go to heal the Mccree, right? Mccree's full HP. We shoot the ground a little bit here. It just didn't really do a ton. We probably could have just used it at a better time. Good orb. Good job walking. We saw where the Torbolt was. We walked outside of it.
Yeah, I'm about to
Between.
walk onto that because I think it's going to disappear, and then I get killed.
Oh no. Okay, so we were paying attention and then we didn't pay attention. So that awareness of where that's at. Pay to, when Torbolts, if you don't see it out of the corner of your eye, you can just like real quickly do a scan around you, see like where's this stuff at, so we're not walking into it there, because obviously that's just a mistake.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to get to better cover usage, which would be good if there wasn't a Torbolt there, right?
Yeah.
I must reflect upon this. Victim Karula.
Uh-oh, make sure we're using cover properly there, just so we're not almost dying. Yeah, just better cover usage. Prioritizing the healing of the... So here, prioritizing the healing of the Mccree and the Reaper.
I think my thought here was we need to stop the cart moving, and no one else has touched it.
Well, Mccree and Reaper are touching it, and we don't heal them, right? So here, notice, okay, Reaper on the point, needs a little bit of healing, in immediate danger, probably will be taking damage soon here, yet we position ourselves a little bit too far away to heal him, and we when we could be stepping closer to him, and we also don't heal him at all, right? So here he just gets shredded when we probably could be healing him there. We don't. Mccree walks out, Mccree takes damage, Mccree's low to the right, needs healing. Instead of throwing a healing orb or pushing forward to heal him, we throw a damage orb, right? And instead of turning to our right and healing him, we go in and start damaging, right? So here we could keep him alive, and then he can contest and he can kill things. Instead, we try to go for the damage, right? All right. Forgot that we have to get to the ends here. So can
you believe that we won that game?
Yeah, which will happen.
All those mistakes you pointed out, and then we still won.
Everyone else is making a equal to and or greater amount of mistakes than you are currently at that rank, right? So you make less and less of those mistakes, then you start to get to a higher rank where people are making less and less mistakes as well, right? It's just kind of how it works. A lot of getting better at the game is making less mistakes, right? That's just how improvement works, is making less and less mistakes at pretty much anything, right? And that's how you get better. And then there's also like efficiencies, like learning is not necessarily a mistake, but you can, with some areas, like, you might not be making a direct mistake, but there are things that you could be doing better. Like that's where you get into like techie things, right? It's not a mistake not to use the tech, but it is more efficient to use the tech, right? That type of deal. So main points, right? Number one is going to be probably trying to think here. It's between awareness and positioning. Positioning, I'll put it
positioning is my main problem in Overwatch across all support, tank, and damage.
We'll put it at positioning for the core reason that I think it's overall it's less things to work on, but it's also such a core problem that I feel like it's such a big problem that it also should be one of the faster fixes, because it'll be slower to fix all of awareness, as there's a lot more to go over with all of awareness, right, if that makes sense. Whereas this is a little bit more centralized and should be easier to work on. So I'll put it at number one because it is an easier thing to work out first, right? So positioning, making sure we're standing with our team, right? That means that if we're trying to heal, if we're trying to heal people, we're not standing all the way over here, right, where we can't reach people. We're not standing all the way over here where we can only heal one person. Instead, the optimal positioning would be if we are standing right over here, where now we have cover usage, we can heal these guys from the side where we can heal both of them, and we can also heal this guy as well, right? We're standing in the middle of all of them. If we stood over here, this would not be optimal, because now we can't heal that guy. If we stood on the opposite side, it'd be the same thing. If we stand super far back, same thing, right? We want to be in the middle of as many people as possible, within range of healing, right? Make sure also, if possible, try to be within range of damage at all times too. I've noticed a lot of times we just like would not put ourselves within range of damage, and we just kind of sit here like this. Instead, just
Wait,
walk forwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just walk forwards a little bit, get a little bit closer. That way we're within range to actually do the damage, right? Use cover, make sure we're not in the open, and then that's pretty much the main ones, right? Make sure we're not walking too far ahead of our team. Awareness is number 2. Pay attention to a lot of different things. Pay attention to kill feed. When you have lost a fight, which is when you are down 2 to 3 people, right? Make sure you're looking to get out if possible, and if you cannot get out, let them kill you. Also, do not walk back in when you do not have a full team of 4+ people, right? Preferably, you wouldn't even be walking in with 4 people, but only walk in ever if you have 4, 5, 6 people. Preferably 6 people, right? Would be the best, right? Don't walk in when it's just 2 or 3 people there, or even just yourself. Moving on, pay attention to health bars. Pay attention to danger levels. Teammates who need healing. Pay attention to who needs healing. Teammates sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Pay attention to your teammates. Where are they positioned? Pay attention to the enemies. Where are they positioned? Keep your ears open, right? Just a lot of odds and ends awareness things. Just watch and pay attention and listen and keep your ears open and focus on it while you're playing. Now, number 3 is probably going to be your ability usage, right? Just making sure we're getting our orbs to work, not throwing damage orbs when we have our ultimate, making sure that we're actually hitting throwing them in the direction of people, throwing them in the right places, balance healing orbs off of walls so they just kind of come back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and just stay there for as long as possible. On top of that, Fade, don't click it off a cooldown. Use it when it's needed for mobility, for dodging out, for when you're low health, right? And then throw healing orbs when needed, damage orbs when healing orb is not needed, right? Then also throw them a little bit less off, throw them outward, throw damage orbs less often at divas, especially at higher ranks, right? Now, number 4 is going to be your ultimate usage. Make sure I can actually see people, and let the fight start before you're using your ultimate, right? Don't use it before the fight's begun, right? Let the teams get close to each other, let some stuff happen, then ult, because we're using it too early, and then therefore it doesn't really do a whole lot. And then that's the main one, right? And make sure we're not swapping between a bunch of people like all at once when we're using to try to focus in on people. Yep. And then finally, last one is just our mechanics. Make sure we're not just healing nothing. Stay within range of healing and damage. Make sure we're not healing and damaging when we're not outside of the range. Besides that, was there anything else? I feel like there's like one other thing, but I can't remember. There wasn't a ton in that one.
It feels like you've got so much to talk about. It's like,
Yeah, I'm not remembering anything else in the, just remember, oh yeah, priority, right? Just remembering that, healing takes priority over damage, so we're making sure we're implementing that into our gameplay. And then that's really, I think the main ones was just mechanics. And then, yep, that's pretty much it. So do you got any questions about anything we've talked about, or just anything else in the game?
No, not right now. I was kind of curious though, like, do you coach many people who are as low SR as me, so to speak?
I've coached lower too, yeah. So it's not as common as there are less people at that rank. Though I still do get my, I've done tons of coaching, so I do get my fair share of people, in silver and bronze, right? Think I just coaching. I think I don't know what the lowest SR of someone I've ever coached was. Maybe like 500. I know I did like 700 like SR like the other day, or like at some point recently, but I don't remember what the lowest ever was.
I played this game for so long without any real consideration about improving or getting much better at it. So I really have only started taking that serious. And if I'm honest, the first time I reached out to you, I was just kind of curious just to see what you had to say. And it was like so much more like involved than I even considered. So that kind of has set me on this trajectory of wanting to get better. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, when you're and this is the Dunning
I was
Kruger
such a
effect.
casual player.
Yeah, and then Dunning Kruger effect is like when you are bad. And no offense when I say this, when you're bad at something, you don't know how bad you really are because you don't know the full extent to how much there is actually in it. So like I don't know.
Yeah.
For example, like I'm not good at languages. I don't know. Like there's so many things that I'm not good at, right? And if I just started doing those things, I wouldn't know how bad I am just because I don't know the full extent of like anything to do with it, right? Like I don't know
Yeah.
all of the odds and ends in it. So like you don't really know the full extent of how bad you are until you hear someone talking who's better than you. And then on top of that, the Dunning-Kruger effect is people who are pretty much who are stupid think that they're smart, right? Because they don't understand that they're stupid, right? Which is it's pretty funny. Look it up sometime if you don't know what it is. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I was any good
Yeah.
at this game, so I just, I was kind of like, oh, I'm a casual player. I'd like to be less, to get good at it. And as you said on the first time we spoke, it's like